So as you guys can see, I'm on the Hypixel Alpha server right now because tomorrow, in less than 24 hours, the foraging update is finally coming out. And there's a brand new skill. For the first time in over 4 years, there's a new skill in Hypixel Skyblock, hunting. And like all the other skills, hunting is going to get you a ton of Skyblock XP and stats and introduce a bunch of things to do. But most importantly, it is going to make money, guys, a lot of money when it first comes out. The skill and the attributes that come with it are going to be incredibly overpowered, so believe me, you want to be fully prepared. And in this video, I'm going to go over every single part of the hunting skill and tell you all of the best money making methods and things that you should do related to hunting as soon as the update drops on Monday. So the first and most important part of the hunting skill are the attributes. The attribute system has been completely and totally reworked, and now you get all the attribute shards by hunting animals. There are a huge amount of attributes in the update, and they all provide really useful permanent stat increases to your profile. Like you can see here, 2 sweep, 3 damage to humanoid creatures. Those are all going to be 10 times higher when you get them to tier 10. I'm going to tell you how to get the new attribute shards in a minute, but first, something really important is that you can not only use these attributes for yourself, but you can also sell them on the bazaar to other players for profit. And later I'm going to go over which ones you should farm to make the most coins per hour. So basically all you have to do to get your first attributes is you need an item called a pocket black hole. The only way to get this, it's really cheap, but you have to do this swoop guy's questline over there. He'll ask you to cut down that tree, then he'll send you in there, and that guy will send you to a bunch of NPCs that teach you about hunting. But when you get to Albert, you can just buy it from him. It's only 100,000 coins and 64 fig logs. And once you finish that whole quest, you should have the pocket black hole and a few other items that I'm going to talk about in a second. So in the new update, there are 3 categories of attribute shards, and shards in each category are obtained in a different way with a different item. For combat shards, you need to go over to this NPC over here, Alan, and he'll sell you a huntaxe. And you can basically put your weapon into this axe, and it'll damage mobs, but it'll only damage them down to 1 HP. And once they get to below 10% of their max health, you place your pocket black hole, and the black hole will basically consume them and give you their shard. For forest shard mobs, you're going to have to come over here to this NPC. You can see the cords right there, and talk to him, and he's going to give you a lasso. Right now he'll only talk to me because I already got the lasso. It's right here. And then you just throw the lasso at the mob like that, and it'll start a timer, which you can see at the top of it. And then when it says real at the end of the timer, you just right click and you get its shard. And the mob that I just captured was a vampire. They're one of the first mobs you're going to see because they basically spawn whenever you cut down a fig tree. And forest shard mobs are basically just any little flying mob, and they include mobs outside the forest too. So I don't really know why they're called forest shards. And then for fishing shards, I think that this is the easiest of the 3 methods. You need to find a fish. Like here, I'll try to get this fish here, and then you need to throw the fishing net at it. And for cod, you need to throw it at it a bunch of times. It's the same with some other sea creatures. You got to throw it at them a lot of times. But eventually, you'll end up capturing them with your fishing net, and then you'll just get the shard. They basically die, and you get the shard. And there are just a ton of different kinds of fish down there, so they're really easy to come across. And then there are these things called hunt traps, but they're really inefficient. Basically, they'll capture shards all on their own without you having to do anything when you place them. But they're just totally not worth it. They're in the tender wood collection, and they just take tender wood and fig logs to craft. And tender wood just drops from when you cut down fig trees. So they're not really expensive to craft, and they're used for something specific that I'll show you later. But overall, they're not really worth it, and I wouldn't even craft them if you don't have to. But yeah, basically whenever you capture a mob with one of these methods, axe, lasso, net, or trap, it just drops one of its shards, and it goes into your hunting box here. And then basically you can see that you can left click or shift left click to siphon them, and then when you siphon them, they go into your attribute menu. And when they're in your attribute menu, they're officially giving you stats now, so they're giving you their stat bonuses. I have this spreadsheet here, and I'll link this in the description. The spreadsheet shows you how to get every single attribute shard, and something really interesting is that there are way more attribute shards than you would think. And the reason for this is that most of the shards are actually created by fusing 2 specific types of shards together. I would explain how to get every shard individually right now, but there are literally so many of them that it would take 20 minutes just to give a basic explanation about each shard, and that's how big the hunting skill is right now. So yeah, a lot of the shards come from fusing, and fusing is probably the most complicated part of the update. So to fuse shards, you have to go to this main house here that has David Hunterborough and everything, and then at the back there's this fusion machine. And the shards that you have, they have to be in your hunting box and not in your attributes menu. Once they're in your attributes menu, you can't fuse them or sell them anymore. But you can put shards that you currently have into the machine to fuse a new type of shard. And I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to put 5 verdant shards in and 5 vampire shards in, because whenever you're putting shards in, you need 5 of each one just to create one new shard over here. You can see here that after I put these in, I actually get 2 options for the one that I want to make. So I'm mixing a verdant and a vampire, and I can either make sea archer or fan flare from that. Now both of these you can actually get from other mobs, but if you look at the spreadsheet that I put in the description, there are some combinations that make new ones that you can't get from a mob. So the fusing is still pretty important because a lot of the shards do only come from fusing. It's just that these two are so low level that they'll only make a higher level mob shard. But if I click here on Sea Archer and then I click Fusion, it'll fuse them. And if I go to my hunting box, I now have a Sea Archer, even though I have never gotten a Sea Archer shard before. This is the one that I just fused. It goes into your hunting box, and I can siphon it. And now I get Monster Bait 1, 0.5 extra sea creature chance. And when you're fusing something, the options that it gives you here for what to fuse are actually based both on the individual shards that you put in and what class they're in. And in the spreadsheet in the description, it says what class every shard is in and the combinations of what classes you need to make different shards. Like, for example, these are both in like tropical fish family, but like there's a squid family, there's a blaze family, there's all that stuff. So depending on the family that it's in and the individual shard, it makes different things. So now I'm going to talk about what kinds of gear upgrades you can get for hunting. So the upgrades that you can get either give your hunting tools extra damage and speed, or they can give you extra hunting fortune and wisdom. Each of the 3 hunting tools, the axe, the lasso, and the fishing net, are upgraded in different ways. And it's actually really important to upgrade them because doing damage to each mob to get its shard actually takes a really long time since the hunting items deal low amounts of damage, and the upgrades can drastically increase their damage, and they're really cheap too to make the upgrades. The axe can be upgraded in the Vine Sap collection. You can see you can get the Sharpened Huntaxe, the Reinforced Huntaxe, the Savage Huntaxe, and the Prime Huntaxe. The Sharpened Huntaxe you can also just buy from the NPCs, so I don't know why this is in here. But the Reinforced Huntaxe, the Savage Huntaxe, and the best one, the Prime Huntaxe, are all crafted with Vine Sap and Stretching Sticks, and you actually get both of these from tree gifts after you break the trees. The Enchanted Vine Sap is from the Mangrove trees, and the Stretching Sticks, I think, are from the fig trees. And as someone who's seen how common these drops are, just trust me, those axe upgrades are going to take like no time at all to get, because the items used to craft it just have like really high drop chances from the trees. And then the lasso is also upgraded in the Vine Sap collection. You can upgrade it to the Entangler lasso and then to the Ever Stretch lasso. And this is kind of a similar recipe. It also uses Vine Sap, but instead of Stretching Sticks, it uses like Mangcore or Enchanted Mangrove. And you basically just get that by combining a lot of these mangrove logs. And just like the axe upgrades, the lasso upgrades are also really cheap, and they're not as good as the axe upgrades, but they're still probably worth getting because they're really cheap. But yeah, the axe upgrades increase the axe's damage, and the lasso upgrades decrease the amount of time it takes for you to reel in a mob. And the last tool, the fishing net, is the most important because some sea creatures like the turtles can take forever to kill with the basic fishing net. And unlike the other 2 items, the fishing net upgrades are actually in the Sea Loomies collection, whatever that means, Sea Loomies. You can get the medium fishing net, and then you can also get the turbo fishing net, which is the highest upgrade. And these are made with enchanted sea loomies, but you also need these flex bones, and the flex bones are a very rare drop from fishing in the cave right below spawn. So if you go down below spawn, you can find like a cave entrance, and you'll know you're in the right place when there are these chill shots and chill blades. And then once you're in the cave, you need to find this specific area where there's a fishing NPC. So I just found it. It's right here. The coordinates are -579, 92, 30. And if you talk to this guy, he doesn't really do anything, but he'll tell you that no sea creatures can spawn here, and then he'll also tell you that you can catch some rare materials to craft top quality fishing nets. And he's talking about the flex bones, and when he says that they're rare, he's not joking, because I fished here for like 20 minutes and I couldn't catch one, but I talked to some other people and they said that this is where you get them. So the fishing net is by far the hardest one to upgrade. It might take me like 30 times as long to upgrade that one as the others, but it's also the most worth it, because you can see it gets extra pull, which is basically just damage, and also extra throw distance. And it's just so important because the base fishing net kind of sucks. It's really slow, and the fish sea creatures are definitely the hardest ones to hunt. So I guess the admins decided that because the fishing net upgrade was the most important one, they were also going to make it the most expensive. The admins also decided to like remove all axe weapons from the game, but that's like another problem. But let's just say they don't exactly make the best decisions like all the time, so maybe that's not what they were trying to do. And the final important piece of hunting gear is David's Cloak. You get this from David Hunterborough when you finish his quest, and if you go into his menu, you can see David's Cloak. There are a bunch of things you can do to get it extra stats, and apparently this is supposed to be the best cloak overall now, even for combat. I don't know why they decided that the best combat cloak should come from the foraging item. It's kind of weird, like with the Jade Dragon. Why do we need a foraging Jade Dragon? But if you go into his menu, you can see that you can actually level it up by doing a bunch of different hunting related tasks. And this basically just adds a bunch of stats to the cloak and makes it totally overpowered. But you can see that 2 of these actually give hunting related stats. This one right here, which you get every time you level up an attribute, or gain a new attribute level, it gives you hunter fortune every time, and it goes up to tier 30, so that's 30 extra hunter fortune. With that and hunting 50, you're at 80 hunter fortune. You're getting almost double drops. So this right here is huge, 30 hunter fortune. And then this one right here will end up getting you 5 hunting wisdom. You get this just from getting unique shards, so every time you unlock a new type of shard, you'll get that leveled up. And then the rest of these are all related to combat or foraging, but they're still going to be useful too, and they're on the same cloak, so you might as well level those up too. And you're just going to do it by hunting. I'll show you all these different things. All of them come from doing different hunting tasks. But basically, this is probably the biggest buff you can get to hunting. It gives you extra fortune and XP, and it's just amazing. And that actually brings us to, how do you level up hunting? How do you get hunting XP? And there are actually 2 ways that you get it. It's kind of like rune crafting, where when you kill a runic mob, you get XP, and when you fuse runes, you get XP. With the hunting skill, you get hunting XP every time you capture the attribute shard of an animal, but you also get hunting XP every time you fuse a new shard. So theoretically, you could just fuse a bunch of high-level shards and level up hunting really quickly, like people do with rune crafting. But from what I've seen actually doing the hunting, you get XP pretty quickly. So I don't even think you're going to have to do that. And I mean, you're going to need to get the attributes anyway, and they'll probably be worth a lot of money. So, but obviously you're also going to need to fuse them. So I think hunting 50 is going to be a really easy skill to get. And if you're wondering, like, what's the reason to level up hunting anyway, it actually gives you really good rewards. So obviously you get a lot of Skyblock XP every level. You're getting a lot of Skyblock XP. It's like any skill. You'll probably get like 6 levels just from the skill. But you see, you actually also get an extra chance to charm a mob that you defeat and capture its shard. Now, you can see this only goes up to like 1 or 2% or whatever, but this does not mean that when you're hunting an animal, you get an extra double drop chance. You actually get this 1% drop chance every single time you kill a mob, even if you're not using the hunting equipment. So I could go and kill like 500 golden ghouls while I was doing slayers, and like 5 of them are going to drop a shard even though I'm not hunting them. And there's also another way to increase this charm chance that I'll show you later too. Then there's also hunting fortune, and hunting fortune is extremely useful and important if you ever want to try making money with the skill when the update comes out. Basically, every single level of hunting you get 1 hunting fortune, and this works exactly like mining and farming fortune. Whenever you get a shard, every point of hunting fortune gives you an extra % chance to double drop the shard. This basically means that if you have hunting 50, you're going to be making 50% more money whenever you're doing hunting, because you're going to get 50% more attribute shards. Or if you're just hunting for yourself, you're going to get 50% more attribute shards. And from my experience playing, you actually just get a lot of hunting XP from hunting mobs, and it's very quick to level, and it's actually pretty fun since you're always getting drops from doing it, and because of the attribute shards and the fact that there are just so many like different ones to unlock tier 10 for, it's really fun. And now I'm going to tell you guys about the most important thing about hunting, and that's how we're going to make money from it as soon as the update drops, because there's going to be huge money making potential with this update in so many areas. Like, if you get in on it in the first few days, you could make billions of coins easily. Like, I'm planning on like doubling my net worth with this update, and it's gonna happen too. First, one tip that's really helpful and will make you money for literally doing nothing is to eat these lilac berries, these lush lilac berries. You basically just get them from these bushes around the island. You can left click or right click them to get them. They're extremely easy to get, and for some reason when you eat one, it lasts 8 hours. And look, I could stack it up so far up to like 11 days, and these take like no time to get at all. I don't really know what the admins were thinking, but they basically, just like the hunting skill, they give you that charm chance. So whenever you kill a mob, you have a chance to drop his attribute shard, even if you weren't doing the whole hunting thing. And those are basically free. They give you an extra 0.5% chance, so there's no reason not to do that. They last for 8 hours. But you can also upgrade them in the higher tiers. You can see this one, instead of 0.5% chance, it gives me a 0.625% chance. And there are actually a couple tiers above them. So if you go into this lilac collection, you can basically see them all here. It's like the only thing in there. Like, the only things in here are these berry things. They're called salts for some reason. The game calls them salts. But basically they're like berries and candy and stuff. And the top one gives you plus 1% chance to get a shard whenever you kill a mob. But then there's 0.75 and the ones that I just showed you too. And then there's also this oceandy, like it's like ocean candy, I guess. And it gives you a plus 1.25% chance to charm sea creatures you defeat. And this guy's is really good because the sea creature shards, I'm telling you, are going to be worth some of the most of any of the shards on the new update. And a lot of the best money making methods might have to do with sea creatures. But yeah, with these berries, literally just for going around the game killing things, you're going to get attribute shards, and it's just free money. And like, just by the way, this top one, this is not a hard crafting recipe. You only need 64 berries. It lasts 24 hours, plus these take you like 1 minute to get. I don't see any reason not to always have one of these active whenever you're playing the game. It's just going to get you passive money. It's like a passive money making method. But still, the real money is going to come from specific mobs that we can target to hunt. I believe that the mobs that are going to make the most to hunt are mobs that are somewhat rare and that are not killed a lot in the normal gameplay of Skyblock. So like ones that, aside from hunting, people won't be killing them much. Because that means that the supply on those is going to be lower and the price is for sure going to be a lot higher on those. Over here at David Hunterborough, if you go to hunting tools and then you click on one of the tools, you can see a list of all the mobs that you can actually hunt. And like, you don't want to kill glaciate walkers because people are already killing thousands of those per minute. So there's just going to be a million of those flooding the market as soon as the update comes out, as people just kill glaciate walkers. But a lot of the new mobs and mobs that are just used for their attribute shards, like here, these Dreadwings in the Phantom family. And guys, a lot of the sea creatures like Lava Flame, Fire Eel, Water Hydra, Sea Emperor, Jobus, Burning Soul, Taurus, these are going to make so much money if you actually hunt them instead of just killing them, because there are not going to be a lot of people getting these and they're pretty rare. So I know that the sea creatures are going to make a lot, especially because usually like people just instantly one-shot creatures when fishing, so you won't be getting much of these shards just from normal fishing. You're going to have to like go out of your way to hunt them. But also things like ghosts, this is a useful attribute. It's not like the most common thing in the world to be hunting. I mean, people do kill high quantities of them, but at least right now, no one's going to be going and hunting those. And then another money-making method with hunting, and I think that this is going to be the #1 method with hunting that makes the most money, like forever, is actually fishing net hunting. I just used my fishing net on one of these turtles. They're called Shellwise. And their perk is extremely useful. It basically gives you the entire effect of a dwarf turtle shellmet, but it doesn't take up a pet slot, so I don't really know what the point of the dwarf turtle shellmet's going to be anymore. But there are also all kinds of different fish like these down in the lake in the middle of the island. And the lake is known for being really annoying to dive into and get the fish because of like the whole pressure mechanic and how you die after like 10 seconds. And remember that the fishing net mechanic is so unique that basically the only way these attribute shards will ever be coming into existence is with fishing net hunting. So that's the only way anyone's getting them. And people need just as many of these attribute shards as they do other ones. So I think there'll be a lower supply and the same demand for them. Especially for that turtle one. That's going to be insane. And you can see there are 9 different ones here. Every single player is going to need level 10 of all of these eventually. And because of this, I think that before the update drops, and I know every YouTuber says this, I think you want diver armor just because I think that these fishing net hunting creatures are going to make a ton of money. And if you really want to make money with hunting, you should be prepared with diver armor. Even on the main server, it's probably only like 15 mil right now. It's going to be cheaper after the update comes out because they changed the recipe. And it also does have another upgrade once the update comes out. But it'll basically just make you die a lot slower when you go into the lake, and you'll be making probably like 5 times as much money doing this if you had the diver armor. Of all the fishing net attributes, the spike and the turtle here definitely have the best perks, but every single one of these attributes is actually somewhat useful, so really doing any of these, just checking which ones have the highest price for the amount of effort you're going to put in, any of them could work as a money making method. And honestly, the same thing goes to the lasso things. They're just adding these. The only way you're ever going to get their shards is by doing the lasso thing. You can't kill them otherwise. And once again, every single player needs to buy level 10 of these, which I think is like hundreds of them. I think that every single player needs to buy hundreds of each one of these, and they're not exactly the easiest thing to do or come across. And of these, I think that the Dreadwing, the XYZ, and by the way, the XYZ are those things called X, Y, and Z, but they're like spelled weirdly. On the Crimson Isle, they like float around over the village and stuff. And the Cinderbat are going to make the most just because their perks are really good. This one gives you Forest Essence, this one gives you Mana Regen, and this one gives you Magic Find. Those are things that everyone wants, right? So, and also just because these over here, they literally appear like every time you cut down a tree, so there are going to be way too many of those in the market. And there are also a few attribute shards that you don't specifically get with the hunting equipment, like the panda one, which you just get by feeding the pandas in this little like green cave down there somewhere on the island. And I think that anything individual and unique like that, that's unique to hunting, is definitely going to be a good money making method, and it's going to be worthwhile compared to something like golden ghouls or glaciate walkers that are in another part of the game. And you can basically see all of those in the spreadsheet too, and just some of them are going to be unique enough to probably be very profitable. So I guess my main point is just to hunt rare mobs and hunt either new mobs or mobs that people don't kill often, and I guarantee that when the update releases, you'll be able to make tens of millions an hour just selling attribute shards, because I truly do not think that the admins realize how powerful the shards are right now, and they just don't realize how many of them people are going to have to buy.